Well, hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. We come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, folks, this is going to be hopefully a very informative but complicated radio show today, so buckle up because I got some news, you got some news. You probably don't even realize that you have this news the way they snuck it in. But as usual, on Friday nights, they sneak in information. You always have to know that if it's being announced on a Friday night, that there's something they're hiding, something that you probably ought to know about, but you don't want to hear. And that is what has happened here. I saw the headline, California, 41 California DAs, that's district attorneys, oppose early release eligibility of 76,000 inmates. Holy cow. Now, I'm going to give you the background of all of this, and I would like to remind many of you that follow us that it was only a couple of weeks ago that I was saying that they very likely are going to release up to 20,000 registered sex offenders in the state of California sometime in the next few months, and they'll do it quietly, and you'll only find out after the fact. Well, I was wrong. It's a lot more than 20,000. In fact, they're looking at 76,000 possible early releases of inmates. They're actually closing some prisons. This just doesn't make sense to me. But I want to share with you the background so that you know what's going on. This thing is complicated, and if you don't pay attention, it's one of those kinds of things where they eke out a little here and sneak in a little there, and the next thing you know, it has happened, and nobody realizes it except for the fact that crime is going up in your community. So before I really get into this, let's talk about the fact that crime is going to go up in your community. It's just one of those things that's bound to happen. In fact, I live in Riverside County and Riverside area. And interesting enough, right there in my Ralph's parking lot in Canyon Crest yesterday or earlier this week, they had a robbery right in the parking lot. This is the second one in a couple of weeks, and that's a very fine part of town. And that is an excellent shopping center. But right there, two people came out of that grocery store, and they not only stole the woman's purse, they shot at the husband in the parking lot. And I think to myself, well, just get ready. It isn't that part of town. It isn't that neighborhood per se. That's a wonderful neighborhood and part of town. But what we are about to do is decriminalize crime in the state of California. And it is one of those things that's just kind of sneaking in all around you before you realize. I, of course, work in this organization, and I should address that for those of you that don't normally follow this particular show. This show is brought to you by Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. We're a local nonprofit. We kind of specialize in prevention and intervention of sex and labor trafficking, sextortion, social media exploitation, child pornography, crimes of human exploitation. And we've been doing that since 2008. Trained more than 500,000 people. And by the way, while I'm saying that, it isn't just us, it's you guys that are supporting us that make this happen. And we're a small nonprofit. We are local people. Send us $25, $100, $1,000, and it helps us survive this. And but this is going to get worse before it gets better. And I look at it and I say to myself, how do we prepare for this? This is absolutely insane when we see what is happening in our state of California. And you just have to think about this when you get ready to vote. I tell you that. I try not to get political, but it's real hard not to get political with this particular subject. Over in Los Angeles, they have the people voted in a very liberal district attorney. We're very fortunate out here in the Inland Empire to have really solid district attorney, especially in one of my heroes, Mike Hestrin. our district attorney, who is joined with these other 40 California DAs to oppose this early release and eligibility for inmates in prison. And I would add to that also our sheriff. Now, in full disclosure, I report to the Riverside County Sheriff Department, the Human Trafficking Task Force. I am their training and outreach coordinator. So yes, I'm prejudiced. I believe in supporting law enforcement, and I know many of our law enforcement and prosecutors are men and women who get up in the middle of the night to go out and rescue kids. Foster kids, regular kids, your kids, my kids. They will do what they have to do to be able to protect these kids. But the laws are not working in their favor, and that's what I really want to share with you today. Over in Los Angeles, what has happened is that they cut the spending to LAPD and the LA Sheriff Department. In one case, they cut it more than $150 million. They now brought in another $30 million back because guess what? Crime was going up in a big way. And you're going, saying to yourself, this is crazy. Then they have disassembled. How about that? If we're going to be on the radio, we got to use the right words. They took apart, they dissolved much of the gang unit and also much of the drug unit. Hard gangs, hard drugs that are committing these crimes. And they're doing that, by the way, at the same time we're letting in literally thousands and tens of thousands of undocumented people. If you look at those photos, many of those people coming in are 15 to 17 years old, and many of them are already trained how to use a gun. Now, I'm not against people who come to our country from other countries. I'm not. I know many, multiple, large amounts of people who are probably not documented, who are very, very fine, hardworking people. But I also know they didn't get here without paying a coyote. And coyotes are not, you're not seeing whole busloads of coyotes going home. In the last documentation, we saw that in the month of April, they processed through 170,000 unaccompanied minors. And if each one of those paid $5,000, that means a cartel made $85 million. And they're getting bigger and stronger and getting better technology, and they're coming to our community near you. At the same time, we're now about to let out 76,000 possible inmates out of prison. And it's all done in the middle of the night on Friday in the name of the state of emergency. It turns out that Proposition 57 had a bunch of wording in it. By the way, I want you to remember who crafted the wording for Proposition 57. It was our former governor and our former attorney general, who happens now to be the vice president of the United States, crafted the wording for Proposition 57. And part of the clause in there said that there are emergency measures that can be taken so that the public does not have to be included in the decision. And this is how it is happening. They are declaring a state of emergency late on Friday night when no one's paying attention. Nobody's really aware of what the state of emergency is, by the way. It appears they're blaming it on COVID. But the last I heard is COVID's on the downturn. And then they're blaming it on prison overcrowding. But now we're finding out they're shutting down the prison in Susanville, and also possibly a prison over there not far from where our famous governor lives. And they're starting to close down the prisons because they're letting the inmates out early. So it can't be from prison overcrowding. And COVID is slowing down. What the heck is this state of emergency that they suddenly used under Proposition 57? Remember that proposition that you all voted for? Well, somebody did last 2016. Well, I'm going to give you the journey that has taken place based on that particular proposition and where we're at today. And I'll guarantee you, it will put the fear of God in you. At least it does me. My name is Opal Singleton. This organization is Million Kids. Please go to millionkids.org, sign up for our insider alerts, and follow what we do there. And if you have it in your heart, I hope you'll support our organization. We thank you for each and every one of you that support what we do in your prayers and what you do financially. So we're up against this break. I want to go deep into this in a minute. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and I want to take you down the journey of where we are today, just in case you've missed some of the episodes of this melodrama that is affecting our lives and will change the future of our cities and our counties and our state. And I believe will change the future of our families in a big, big way. So this all started with Proposition 57. That proposition was crafted by Governor Brown and Attorney General Kamala Harris. And it was one of those things where they really didn't give you all the nuts and bolts of it. It was one of those feel-good kinds of things. And it basically said that the prisons are overcrowded and people need to be rehabilitated. And so therefore, we need to let out nonviolent offenders and make them eligible for early parole. Now, there was discussion during the election period. Did that include sex offenders? And Governor Brown, jumped right up there. Oh, no, 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 it's not going to include that. Of course, it didn't say that. He just said that verbally. And keep in mind, this bill was crafted by our current vice president. And so they had to know. I mean, she was attorney general. She had to know what a nonviolent crime was in the state of California. It was one of those feel good kinds of things. You say to yourself, well, yeah, the guy was, smoking a little pot and he stole some bubble gum at 7-Eleven and now he's sorry and he's gone through a rehab thing. And yeah, we ought to let these nonviolent people out. What they were hiding from you is turning out to be extensive. First of all, there are only 13 violent crimes in the state of California. Sex with a child is not a violent crime in the California Penal Code. It is not. Sex with a dead person is not a violent crime in the California Penal Code. Quite frankly, that sounds like rape to me, because how do you consent if you're dead? Assault on a police officer is not a violent crime. There are really only 13 violent crimes, and they knew that when they processed it. So verbally, they said it would not include sex offenders. And so what happened is, over a period of time, they began, the CDC, the Corrections Department for the state of California, decided to start to let people out. And so then a few sex offenders were starting to get out. And they're saying at that point, We Million Kids and a lot of other organizations raised $10,000 and got a lot of signatures and sent it off to Governor Brown saying, wait a minute, you said no sex offenders. And he's saying, well, that's what I meant, and they shouldn't be out, but we'll see how this turns out. Because what happened is, a sex offender up in Sacramento sued the state of California, and it went through Judge Alan Sumner in Sacramento long about, I want to say 2017 or 18. And Judge Alan Sumner said, you're right, you're being discriminated against. And I don't see anything in Proposition 57 that says that we can discriminate against sex offenders. So I believe sex offenders should be allowed out early. That's the law. That's what they voted for, the people. And so, yes, sex offenders can get out early. Well, this made its way through the California courts. And what happened is, last December, I have it here in front of me, headline, California Nonviolent Sex Offenders Can Qualify for Early Parole, the California Supreme Court rules. And so this was December 29th that this came out. And it just was kind of quiet, except for me. You probably have heard me talk about this before. But it just was amazing to me that this Supreme Court Chief Justice, and I can't say her name, it's Justice Tani Cantil Sakaye, she ruled in a unanimous decision. Here's her wording. The 2016 initiative was never intended to cover sex offenders, former California Governor Jerry Brown, who championed the effort, had said. But the lower courts ruled that the plain language of the initiative means that sex offenders cannot be excluded from consideration as nonviolent offenders, and the High Court agreed. Here is the Chief Justice's wording. This just really fries my bacon, I'll tell you. Anyway, the initiative language provides no indication that the voters intended to allow the Corrections Department to create a wholesale exclusion from parole consideration based on an inmate's sex offense conviction when the inmate was convicted of a nonviolent felony. Keep in mind, sex offenses are not considered violent, and everybody who crafted that bill and snookered the public knew that. But the Supreme Court, Miss Sakaye, if I'm saying that correctly, is basically chastising you, the public, the voter, for not getting involved in understanding. And she went so far as to say that nonviolent offender eligibility must be based on an inmate's current conviction, and the offenders cannot be excluded from consideration for what the state deems as a nonviolent offense. She went on to say that if the public had wanted to exclude sex offenders, they wouldn't have voted for the law. So now you have been properly chastised, but the end result is sex offenders will be considered for early parole. So that happened long about 2018. And then in 2020, it was upheld by the California Supreme Court. Now, what is starting to come out is now that Gascon, DA Gascon over in LA is elected, what you're seeing is this is being taken even further. What they were saying there is that in addition to that, Proposition 57 included some language that it would not include, let's put it that way, enhanced sentencing. In other words, let me just break that down to you, what I'm talking about. If you let's say you get 30 years for child sex crimes, 10 of it is for the sex crime and 5 additional because you did it as part of a gang. And yes, 90% of sex trafficking cases in Riverside County are gang related. Maybe get another 5 years because you threatened her with a gun, maybe even, violated her with a gun. Then you get another 10 years because you're already a registered sex offender. So you start out with 10 for the sex offense, then 5 and 5 and another 10, your sentence is 30 years. What Gascon was pushing for and what was hidden in Proposition 57 is the exclusion of that enhanced sentencing. So if you serve 10 years and you served 7 of it and you have got all your credits for good behavior and rehabilitation, what they're now saying is you've served your time and you shall be free to go. Now, DA Gascon over in LA is taking it even a step farther. He's telling his prosecutors no more enhanced sentencing on new laws. And by the way, I don't want any of you prosecutors going to the prison for a parole hearing so that you can try to keep these people from getting out. So we have DAs, including our local district attorney here in Riverside County, that has signed documents and is part of the California District Attorneys Association saying, that this is wrong and they don't want to support that and uphold that. So, but it's being taken even further now. That's where we were at this time. At the same time, they are in LA defunding a lot of your police elements. Keep in mind, if there was ever a time in our society we ought to double the funding of police because they need technology. Most of these crimes are taking place online, and we ought to be investing for future technology, not cutting back current police. But what is happening on this thing is that we are defunding, we are not investing, we are saying no more enhanced sentencing, and now the the LA Police Department is defunding and dissolving their gang units and their gun units. Why is this, your drug units, not gun units, your drug units? Why is this a problem? Because when girls are recruited out of the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, Riverside, Victorville, Hemet, they are sold in Los Angeles. And we work together with those task forces to be able to go over and rescue our girls and get them back and get them to safe haven. And this is getting serious when you're starting to not only not prosecute, but let other people out early based on faulty wording and hiding things from the public. My name is Opal Singleton. This is Exploited Crimes and Technology. We will be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.exploited, millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. This show is brought to you by Million Kids. I'd ask you to follow us, MILLION, millionkids.org. By the way, it's called Million Kids because more than 1 million kids are trafficked throughout the world. And we have been fighting this good fight now for 13 years. We're a small organization. We never wanted to build this thing up into multi-big organizations like many people have done. But we base it on facts. We base it on real cases. When you sign up for Million Kids Insider Alert, you get case announcements. I am the training and outreach coordinator for the task force. So we release cases. We talk about the latest technology that criminals are using and how to protect your children on that. We often announce our local cases. We talk about legislation, and we will be talking about this week, all about how Proposition 57 is resulting in the release of up to 76,000 inmates here in California, the early release. By the way, I really want you to visualize this. These are people that somebody testified against. These are people that our state spent millions of dollars gathering up evidence, doing investigations, hiding the victims so that they're safe, and getting them restitution and getting a legitimate prosecution. And our state has invested millions, maybe billions of dollars in this, and now this administration is going to simply turn all of that around and say, welcome back to the community. We want you to be free, and we are going to close prisons down, and we are going to declare a state of emergency. Got wrong word there. This is all taking place at the same time we're dissolving gang units. So where's the future investigation? This is taking place when we're admitting another 150 to 200,000 people a month. Admittedly, some of them are fine people, but some of them are not. And who is going to follow up on these people? Many of them are coyotes themselves, gang members themselves, and they are now in our community. We just had a case right here in Colton, California, where literally women down in Mexico were recruiting young girls, 14, 15, 16 years old, to come to our community to work in massage parlors and skincare places. And what they were doing was illicit sex. They were not doing skincare business. And they were picked up. It is a sex trafficking ring operated, the Paredes family, all the way from Ventura over to El Monte, out here to the Inland Empire. And it was all being operated from the Inland Empire, and that money was being laundered through a fashion spot place over in Colton. So that's just one example. And at the same time, we're letting out 70-some thousand prisoners early. We're admitting almost 200,000 more people that we don't know a lot about, and many of them are being exploited in our territory, our property, because they owe the coyote money that is also in our territory. At the same time that many of our surrounding law enforcement agencies are cutting back the money and dissolving a gang unit and refusing to support and enforce enhanced sentencing. And now they have decided to let 76,000 people back to your community. The same people that your community spent millions of dollars and people put their lives on the line to testify against them are coming back to your community, all because some politicians knew exactly what they were doing with the wording when they did it. And now they release this on a Friday night, so it's quiet and you won't realize it. So here's the headline. This one is on Fox News, but there are many from NBC and CBS, and they're all from the same press release. So it doesn't matter. I'm aware of bias in news. But I try to get you the facts. So here's the headline. 41 California DAs oppose early release eligibility of 76,000 inmates. 41 district attorneys. One of them is my district attorney, and that man is my hero. Thank you, Mike Hestron, for putting your name on that petition and doing what you need to do to keep our county safe. I am proud of you. I don't work for you, but I am proud to know you and know that you have the kind of value system that we need in our community. They are supporting an effort to overturn regulations that allow up to 76,000 inmates, including convicted of violent crimes and repeat offenders, to be eligible for good behavior credits that could cut short their sentences. So what is happening is that they've created a rehabilitation system within the prison. I suspect that neither you nor I are against that. I believe in second chances. I believe in people being able to turn their lives around, that maybe got hooked on drugs and made mistakes, and now they're clean and sober and they're trying to do good. I get that. But I also get that we don't know which ones are which, and this is a blanket system to let them out. Some 63,000 inmates convicted of violent crimes. Remember, Proposition 57 was about nonviolent crimes. Some 63,000 inmates convicted of violent crimes are eligible to earn good behavior credits in an effort to shorten their sentence by 1/3 rather than the usual 80%. The new credits will go into effect May 1st. Keep in mind, this was announced just last week, and they snuck it in on a Friday night. The move is related to the voter-approved Proposition 57, which incentivized inmates to participate in rehabilitative programs and positive activities and commit to sustained good behavior. Under Proposition 57, inmates could earn credit for participating in rehabilitative and educative programs and completing other milestones. I have no problem with any of that. People need to be rehabilitated. I agree. But sex offenders should be considered differently, because people who violate other people sexually will change their life forever. It's bad. It's bad when you rob. It's bad when you commit a burglary or other kinds of crime. But when you commit a sex crime, especially on a child, you have altered that person's reality for the rest of their life. And it takes people being brave to come up and testify to do that. The credits can now move up parole consideration for people convicted on nonviolent crimes. Keep in mind, child sex crimes are not considered violent in the state of California, who have served the full term of their primary offense and demonstrate that they would not pose a risk once released. Did you get how slick that wording was? What they're really saying is no more enhanced sentencing. That if you did this and you were a gang member, that doesn't matter. That doesn't count. If you were carrying a gun, that doesn't count. This enhanced sentencing, this credits move up parole consideration for people convicted on nonviolent crimes who have served the full term of their primary offense. For you and I, we would not understand that wording means that they are eliminating the consideration for enhanced sentencing. And they're doing that by going back to the sentence, and they're doing that by moving forward. And I am proud that our district attorney does not buy into that. Anne Marie Schubert, the district attorney for Sacramento, California, and a state attorney general candidate urged the repeal of the new actions. I agree with her, and I hope that you will follow this and start to support her. Allowing the early release of the most dangerous criminals, shortening sentences by at least 50%, impacts crime victims and creates a serious public risk. The petition asks CDCR to repeal those regulations. So they're fighting it. They are fighting it, and I am proud of them for fighting it. But I really want you to understand that more than 63,000 inmates convicted of violent crimes will be eligible for good behavior credit that shorten their sentence by 1/3 instead of 1/5. That includes nearly 20,000 inmates who are serving life sentences with the possibility of parole. I hope you heard that. 20,000 inmates who are serving life sentences. My name is Opal Singleton. This is Exploited Crimes and Technology. Stay with us. We're going to be right back.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens, and she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about the impact of Proposition 57 and how it has taken a long and winding turn and not obvious to the average person because the way they are doing it is under the radar and most people are not taking full attention to what is going on. So basically what they have said now is that up to 63,000 inmates convicted of violent crimes could be eligible for early parole, including 20,000 of them that included life sentences. So the changes were approved last week. The people that are doing it is the Office of Administrative Law, and they did it with very little public notice. And they basically are saying that this will help reduce the prison population by allowing incarcerated persons to earn their way home sooner. And they go on and say that people who lose good time credits for misconduct get them back. They don't stay gone. They could be a useful device managing the population. here's the problem. The inmate population has dropped by more than 21,000 from roughly 117,000 in state prisons before the coronavirus epidemic, though partly because more than 10,000 prison-bound inmates have been temporarily held in county jails. So I want you to see the shell game that's going on here. You see, they're basing this all on the fact that California prisons were overpopulated. That was the basis for Proposition 57. But what we're starting to find out now is that it's all a shell game by what is going on, because they have taken 10,000 prisoners and held them in county jails. Do you get what's happening? They're taking the budgets of the California state prisons and forcing them back down the pipeline so that they're held in jails and not put in prison. At the same time, the California Corrections Center in Susanville is going to close in July 2022. This is announced as well as the vocational institution, Vocational Institution in Tracy, just east of San Francisco, up there by Newsom land, okay? But the population has been declining for a decade, starting when the state began keeping lower-level felons in county jails instead of state prisons to relieve the crowding. The trend continued when voters reduced the penalty for property and drug crimes. Keep in mind that, if you're a shoplifter, if you're taking less than, I think the number is $900, they don't even really do anything to you. And so they're decriminalizing crime. They're moving a lot of the prisoners back to the jails so that the county has to be responsible for that. And then they're letting these people out early and closing the prisons all the time. They're telling you this is necessary because of prison overcrowding. So they are putting all of us at greater risk. So this is an interesting thing for them to declare emergency regulations taking effect a week ago Friday, but the department must submit permanent regulations over the next year, which will then be considered with a public hearing and opportunity for public comment. Do you get what happened? They took a law that started in 2016. They are not asking your opinion, and they are jerry-rigging the system where literally up to 76,000 people can come out to your community, and many of them will be sex offenders that some people in your community testified to. And at the same time, we have various entities within California, such as Los Angeles and their district attorney ruling over there, that are really taking out future criminal activities and not giving them long sentences, not taking into consideration enhanced sentences, not allowing people to go to parole hearings so that, these people who should not be allowed back into our community will be. So the ruling could allow parole consideration for 20,000 inmates, said Sacramento attorney Janice Belusi. They're referring to this, the Alliance for Constitutional Sex Offense Laws. So it's all going the wrong direction, in my opinion. Now, you're entitled to your own opinion, and if you don't agree with me, you're welcome to share with me, or you can write to me. I'll probably regret this, but you can write to me at opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. Folks, we need you and we need your help. I look at this and I say, you got thousands, tens of thousands of people, some of which are being violated, and some of the violators being allowed each month into our community. And yet we're diminishing law enforcement's capability to either investigate them and figure out which ones need to be protected and which ones we need to be protected from. So it's all changing. We're having it come in from the outside. We're having them return to our community from the prisons. And we have people not willing to enforce the rule of law within our own states. Anytime you do away with enforcing the rule of law and not including public hearings and the right to comment and the right to understand what's going on. When things are done in the shadow, it is never good for the public. And this is very concerning me because the truth is, it's our kids at stake, our grandkids. It is the future of our nation. It is the future of law enforcement. It is the future of the rule of law. And it is also the future of our community safety and the public's right to be involved and have a full understanding. They ought to do away with laws that include all of this. You got to vote for it to find out what's in it, and to continue to vote for public people who tell you that that's the way it ought to be done. In the dark of night, in the secret back room, we find out what we're getting in the name of democracy. This is not the democracy I was raised with. I try not to be political on this show because I value people who support our organization and have views on both sides of the aisle. And I value what they do and what they believe. But I also value honest truth, and I expect honest truth from our leadership. I value the district attorney in the Riverside County, and I value the sheriff, and they are doing an excellent job about standing up against this. But this is like, facing a tsunami with a tablespoon because it just keeps advancing in the middle of the night. My name is Opal Singleton, and our organization is Million Kids, MILLION. I hope you'll follow us. I hope you'll write to me at opal@millionkids.org. I hope and pray that you will pray for our nation and our state and our leadership and pray for the work of Million Kids. This is hard work. And I'm not young, folks. I've been doing this a long time. But I cannot do this alone. We need support. We need people to join together and to fight this. And we need to do everything we can to educate each and every one of you that when this stuff is slipped in the middle of the night, in the dark shadows of our society, without really telling you what it's about, when we have leadership that crafts bills that make it so that you can never figure out what you're voting for or against, then we need to stand together and say no. We need single-purpose bills that are clear, that are written out right, and that don't have these long-term hidden meanings and processes where literally tens of thousands of people can get out early, at the same time that tens of thousands of people from all kinds of foreign countries are snuck into our community, and we don't know who they are. Anytime you do away with the rule of law, you do away with public safety, and you also do away with justice, in my personal opinion. My name is Opal Singleton. I hope you will follow this show. I hope you share this show with everyone you know. I hope you'll do your own research and come to your own conclusions, but I wanted to open your eyes. This is happening. It's happening to you. It's happening to me, and it's happening to our future generations. We must protect society. And we must protect those who are willing to testify against bad guys and ensure that we have laws that they don't get to come back to our community and hurt or arrest them. This is some sort of insanity. Thank you, each and every one of you, for listening. I appreciate you a whole lot. I hope that you'll have a great week. Put your arms around your kids this week. Look at them and let them know how proud you are of them. Look at your spouse and tell them how much you love them and how much you value having them in your life. Let's take care of each other. I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock on AM 590.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses. and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the darknet will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.